I'll be honest with you, probably not the brightest idea to film on the windiest day, but that's just the type of year we're having. Let's go. What a year it has been. I'm Tony Mui, and this is the 2020 Life at Complex recap video. The top of the year started off with some incredible highlights, from testing out snow sport vehicles to witnessing the youngest quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, win a Super Bowl MVP. To then participating in the world's best career day during All-Star Weekend. Safe to say, the year was building up to be an action-packed one. And then, dun, 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 the dreaded lockdown happened. We had to pivot to working from home, which really pushed us as a company to reinvent ourselves. Video conferencing became the norm. A new show was created. Sneaker Battles was filled with some of your favorite sneakerhead celebrities going mano a mano in a friendly showcase.
Right now, I see a bid for those that is very high in the 5-figure range, but I don't think anybody's selling those, man. It's definitely.
I bet they fake, but they are selling them, so save your money, my niggas.
If you're watching this, don't buy them shits, 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 don't buy them shits. If you're watching this, don't buy them shits, don't buy them shits, don't buy them shits, don't buy them shits. Trying to get these shits, can't get these shits, no.
Speaking of sneakerheads, which is a Complex Network's original production, that series is available for streaming on Netflix right now. And if it's movies and shows you're looking for, well, let's swing it over to Cal and have him highlight some of his favorite guests on the Watch Less podcast this year.
This year was amazing for Watch Less. Very stressful. There was a lot of work being done, a lot of people we talked to. Issa Rae, Taraji P. Henson, Elijah Wood. I think our best guest, from my opinion, would have been Giancarlo Esposito. Storied actor, legendary career, starred in Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. He's currently on The Mandalorian, but we got to have a different conversation with him, you see. We talked to him during the summer, during the time of the Black Lives Matter protests when all that stuff was going on. And he was frank, you know, he was really honest about speaking on race issues, speaking on the importance of the protests and how that can carry into Hollywood. You know, it was a really awesome conversation, one that I think people really need to go back and check out.
The Complex Sneakers and Low Management podcast continue to release weekly ear candy for the masses.
Personal favorite highlights, I would say obviously getting on NBA on TNT, the segment on their comeback show, talking about Kenny's take about LeBron was just wild. I mean, just being on national TV, seeing us on national TV, then playing the clips was just like a real, like, damn, we kind of made it type moment. So I think for me, that's up there.
It was funny having Ernie give us a promo at the end of the segment, but also, you know, we had some other viral moments too. Lamar Jackson, when we had him on the pod back in, what was it, guys, June? That kind of blew up for us when the sports world was pretty dead. You know, we've had some other ones with Brett Favre that have made the ESPN show. So yeah, the viral moments probably stand out the most, but it's always fun when we get, you know, a fun, insightful interview. Like Jared Dudley one was awesome, and there's other times we've clowned on guests, they've clowned on us in the back and forth. So
more recently, I think CJ McCollum was cool, definitely.
I think our best interview collectively as a group was a Stephon Marbury episode. Like, I feel like we all forget about that because it happened right before the shutdown and everything got crazy, but like, that was a lot of fun having Stephon Marbury in the studio. I mean, Adam was still in LA, but he really opened up, and, you know, it did go viral a little bit, but that was really fun. But my dream guest for the podcast is, I mean, as you can imagine, is LeBron James. I mean, LeBron is, you know, the GOAT basketball player, my favorite player of all time. Just being able to, you know, pick his brain would be a very special moment for me.
I mean, I don't have a dream guest. I'm not a fanboy.
He already had his dream guest. Lamar Jackson came on. You fangirled out.
I'm not a fanboy.
Zion got to check his off the list.
Zion tried to get a signed jersey in the middle of the interview.
But he offered that. I didn't ask for it.
Pal. Yeah. Ethical boundaries crossed.
He literally offered me a signed jersey.
Disgraceful performance from young Zion on the podcast.
He offered it. Adam's being weird.
Yeah, stop hating. But nah, I mean, to be honest, we had a lot of great guests.
We had a lot of people.
I don't know where we could go next.
I'm surprised you didn't say Coach K.
I mean, Coach K is cool, but I mean, what are you guys going to talk to Coach K about?
I have a lot of questions about his ethics in college, but I have a lot of questions.
That you can legally ask.
If we could ever get Floyd Mayweather on the podcast, That'd be pretty goddamn epic.
Yeah, we had a great year, and I think it's only going up from here.
Speaking of sports, I gotta salute the man Dana White for putting on the first sporting event during the pandemic. I'm looking forward to strengthening and collaborating more with the UFC and their fighters in the future. Hot Ones continues to crush it this year by branching off into different avenues. I won't get into too much details because Hot Ones actually made their own best of 2020 video. So go over to the First Week Feast channel and check that out. I will say, it's one for the record books. You see where I'm going here? Record books, books. That's right, the Complex Sneaker of the Year book launched in October, and who better to have talk about it than two contributors to the book, Brendan Dunn and Matt Welty. And while we're at it, why don't we ask them what some of their favorite highlights are from this season's full-size run.
Complex's Sneaker of the Year book has been in the works for over a year now. As you know, with any time we are debating lists and things like that, there's a lot of whittling down that has to happen. Welty, I feel like you were more in the process of that, right? Picking out which shoe was most important for every year.
This has actually been in the process, I want to say, for a couple years, or it's been an idea for a couple years. It originally started as we wanted to do it as a list for the website. Didn't realize how difficult it would be to actually execute one of these things, and didn't have the resources because it's just such a daunting task to try to put together the best sneaker every single year from 1985.
Just like one shoe per year. So there's so many sneakers that we love. We have a hard enough time debating the best shoes for any given year, but just to pick one every, it's like, come on.
And originally too, I think we kept on going back years, and I think we went all the way back originally to like the 60s when Vans was making shoes, because we're like, oh, this shoe came out in the 70s, and then you realized it was like 70 sneakers on the list, and you're like, how the hell is one person going to execute putting together this story? So we all got together, came up with the book concept for it. I think Carissa Sanchez had put that together and pitched it as a book, and then we all worked on it. But even from that point, it even took a couple of years.
Welty, I'm glad you mentioned Carissa, because again, we don't want to be on here like we're taking credit for this thing. So many people contributed to this book. All of our staff, Lucas Weisenthal edited over a bunch of times. Everybody in the Soul Collector and Complex Sneakers team, Ben Felderstein, Riley Jones, Mike DeStefano, Zach DeBasic, Brandon Richard. So many people were involved in this book. Gerald Flores before me, and I'm just so happy with everybody inside and outside who contributed to the Complex Sneaker of the Year book. And by the way, all those signed copies that went up in Complex Land, people were asking us for a long time about that. Hopefully you were able to grab one if you're out there watching. If you're out there watching, hopefully you've also been enjoying Full Size Run this year. It's been a big year for us. The COVID switch and our socially distanced recording has been difficult, but also it's been a big boom because we've been able to get people who we wouldn't get normally, you know, recording with Big Boy Chang, who's based in the Philippines, or a lot of people who are based in the West Coast. Welty, what's been your favorite moment from Full Size Run so far this year?
I would say before we hopped into quarantine, I really enjoyed the Big Body Bess episode.
Of course.
That was one for the ages. Me and him had some legendary talks.
Man of many situations.
Thank you.
Body is in the building.
A man of many leathers. A man of different textures of gold.
There it is.
A man of different decisions. Many mistakes.
Okay. Bars.
Many losses, but never been a loser.
The shoot with Jalen Rose, I think, was a lot of fun, getting, you know, a lot of gems from him from his days at Michigan in the NBA. We have a huge season finale.
Chuck English we just shot, that was a lot of fun. You know,
Chuck English was great.
Max about getting
O'Cream
on this show forever. Max O'Cream, you know, a guy who follows the show. We wanted him on for a long time, so I'm so happy to get those guests and get those talent and get their sneaker stories, because we're so happy to, you know, just talk to them in depth about how they feel about shoes. Welty, we've checked a lot of names off the list this year, but we still have some dream guests, right? Who's our biggest one right now?
Travis Scott.
I'll say Wale, a little more attainable. I still hope he can come on the show one day. Maybe when we get back to the studio, maybe he's waiting for that.
Also in October, Complex premiered on a new platform, Twitch. Yes, we are now live streaming on Twitch 5 days a week. Among our new series includes The Daily Drift, a daily talk show, One of One, a customizing show, and Type Beat Battle, where two beat makers battle it out to see who advances to the next week. So if you're not subscribed or following the Complex Twitch channel at twitch.tv/complex, please make sure you go check that out. Since pivoting to remote shoots, we launched 2 Instagram TV shows. One called Mailroom, where the stylish stoner Rax Hogan gives up-and-coming indie brands a platform to showcase their products. And the second show, It's Bigger Than, hosted by Pierce Simpson, where Pierce sits down with some of your favorite athletes and discuss and examine the intersection between sports, culture, and society.
The idea of keeping politics out of sports is a fallacy. It's a notion that's intended to dismiss, or at best rationalize that life is an equal playing field, much like we witness in competition. But in reality, sports and politics have always moved in unison.
November came around and it was a historical election year. I put on my producer hat along with a strong cast and crew to bring to life 2 political panels to encourage young folks to go out and vote this 2020 election. And I have to say, I'm pretty damn proud of how it came out.
And at the end of the day, if you feel like your vote doesn't matter and you feel like you don't want to vote, you have to understand one thing, that there are people that show up to the polls every election and they're going to vote in their favor. So if you don't vote, somebody's going to vote for you.
Sneaker shopping with Kamala Harris was monumental for the show, and President Barack Obama on 360 with Speedy Mormon really set the tone for 2021.
Mr. Barack Obama, why is it so important to bet on yourself?
Persistence in pursuit of a goal if you believe in that goal.
Nothing was going your way.
That was not a good moment.
How would you frame your presidency? What type of president were you?
My presidency was about saying everybody matters.
Also, big shout out to the Everyday Struggle team for their 3-year run. They've definitely cemented themselves in hip hop history. I know personally, I've had my silly moments with the crew since day one.
But Nasir Jones walks in, daps up act, calls me a young legend, gives me like that sign of respect, that cosign, and his camera is sitting here and he ain't doing shit. What the? Yo, almost.
I ain't gonna lie, I missed the golden moment.
Wait, he missed that?
I missed that.
Almost to the point.
Yeah, it was so quick. It was so quick.
Almost to the point I wanted to almost go to Nas and say, Nas, can we recreate that for the cam? Like, what are you doing?
And as the year comes to a close, we ended strong with Complex Land, a virtual event celebrating pop culture. Look, 2020 was unconventional, it was tough for everyone in the entire world, but we made it through it. We've adapted, we've grown, and we'll continue to persevere. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the content we made, and make sure you wash your hands and wear a damn mask. So until then, Happy New Year's, and we'll catch you on the next video. Peace.